Off top, honey never spoils. Apparently, archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey in tombs in Egypt. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
What's up, Charlie? You believe that?
Yeah.
Would you eat it?
For sure.
Absolutely not. You just had to say.
Sorry, I wasn't even paying attention. I was
Oh.
watching your highlight tape of against Randy Moss.
What? That's a scary proposition. Let's not talk about it. There's nothing to talk about there. You know
It's
what
so
happened?
uncomfortable.
NFL things happened.
You're
Well,
like
actually-
honey. You haven't aged at all since then.
Are you flirting with me? I'm married. My wife's on the show. You've met her. All right.
That's why my legs are out.
Good one. Trey Lance.
What about him?
There's nothing to say about him. It's one of the worst draft picks ever. So Sam Darnold's been named the number 2 there, which I guess a backup quarterback controversy is normally not one that's that interesting. But when there's a first round pick who they traded the farm for to get, who is looking like he is going to be the emergency quarterback for their situation or get traded because the 49ers are
Exploring options, according to Tom Pelissero.
I don't have a ton of like NFL relationships, but like John Lynch, I should call him so he can not tell me nothing to my face.
I think you'll know by his tone of what they think of Trey Lance as a football player. I mean, I think this is actually fascinating because you have a responsibility with this roster to try and win the Super Bowl.
Right.
You have a responsibility when you draft a quarterback with the number 3 pick to try and set him up with the best chance to succeed as possible, because that is how your team wins multiple Super Bowls when you trade the farm for a player like this. That is in such direct conflict in this situation.
Priority stack. That's how you answer it.
Yeah.
Like you have a priority stack, and it's obvious. Like I get where you're saying that there's a conflict there, but there's really not. You rank the things that are most important to you. When you have a chance to win a championship, that's obviously the decision that you make. And it tends to, I think the part about it that's interesting is those things tend to like marry. It's rare that what is best for you, like right at this moment, is going to, particularly at that position, is going to make things worse for you going forward. So, but the question might be different if Trey Lance has shown something. Yeah. The question right now isn't should we start him or not. It's should he be the backup or not. And if that's the question that you're having, then he's shown them nothing worth sticking around. And you hear good news coming out of there every now and then, but there's
Brock Purdy's like he's a god there, according to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, I mean, you hear good news about Trey Lance every now and then. But, I mean, the Brock Purdy stuff's been, that's been nothing but good news for him. And so, I think the Brock Purdy stuff is more interesting than Trey Lance to me. I know Trey Lance is the bigger name and all this stuff is...
Do you think he ever throws another pass for the 49ers?
Well, based on last year, yes, because everyone's going to get hurt, and he's going to end up being their quarterback in the NFC Championship game with everything riding on it. This would be a great sports movie. Yeah. And then he would have to prevail in that situation, but he's given us no reason to believe that he can prevail. It's been the all-time like projection mistake because the big knock on him is not fair knock. It's just that he hasn't played a lot of quarterback, and the hope was that he was somebody who had the physical tools that the other stuff would come along, but he never seems like a comfortable quarterback back there. I think this will probably be the last time we talk about Trey Lance, so I don't feel bad spending so much time talking about him. It'll be the last time for a long time. Yeah. Until he gets traded, because he's going to get another opportunity because he's that talented.
Maybe.
You don't think he'll get another opportunity somewhere?
I mean,
in a camp, maybe not as a starter.
Oh, that's right. So he'll be on another roster, but it's like he has such a weird. He's thrown so few passes. He's shown so little, and he was someone who's a freak athlete who's coming off a major ankle injury that we don't have any idea if he can be an NFL starter. And that's like the weirdest thing to me about this is we know that more than like a talented player, Kyle Shanahan wants someone that will do exactly what he wants, be the mind meld. This is like, even you can go to other people in the Shanahan tree. It's like Tua with Mike McDaniel. Like, where does his Mike McDaniel's brain end into a start? Yeah. And that's like why it's hard to parse that. And so when we thought they had Trey Lance in the system, that you had someone who's a freak who can make plays with Kyle Shanahan's brain making a lot of decisions, it seemed intoxicating. But so like, what is he outside of Kyle Shanahan's system having not played football in almost 5 years.
So Kyle, that Shanahan system, it's interesting because we all look at it as an easy, like a cheat code for a successful quarterback.
Yeah.
But we also can hear, or I've heard, that it's not an easy system for quarterbacks to learn or understand. Right. I think Matt Ryan said that it takes the second year before you feel good in a Kyle Shanahan system. So I bring that up to say that my major criticism of Trey Lance is that he doesn't look comfortable.
Yeah.
And if this system is as challenging as some quarterbacks think, then it's possible that he still could be good somewhere else. And if you compound it by the fact that he doesn't have much time, he has lots of growing to do, there's a possibility that he could succeed somewhere else that is not as difficult as Kyle Shanahan and with more reps.
I just like how difficult can it be to succeed in that system when I agree. Like it's just like everyone else looks comfortable. Like Jimmy G, Nick Mullins, Brock Purdy.
I agree. I don't understand it either because it's also during the preseason is where we're seeing him, where you're not getting teams game planning for you specifically. Like the coverages that you're going to see are pretty much base coverages with maybe a zone blitz every now and then.
And also, like, you played against this, but like they just ran a high school playbook when he had RG3 in his rookie year, and he's like, "I'm like man on man, we're better than you. Let RG3 do his thing," and Trey Lance should be in that mold.
But he doesn't run those plays for Trey Lance.
I'm just saying, but like he will throw out his system to run plays for someone who he thinks is talented enough to do something different.
Right. Well, yeah. And I guess that commitment that they made to it's funny because RG3 it's the same level of commitment. Yeah. However, they weren't fully committed because they went and got Kirk Cousins right afterwards, which was
his dream man.
Yeah, Shanahan's dream quarterback out in San Francisco, which is weird, but
it's my favorite thing ever.
So I practiced against that system a lot too. It's changed a bit because I played for Mike Shanahan for 3 years and really intricately understood how to defend the system that they were running out there. It's different now. They don't even run the zone nearly as much, or at least Kyle doesn't run the zone as much. The key to the zone, not that this matters or you care, but I've always found it interesting is that it kind of puts the onus on the defense to be perfect. Yeah. And that's why it works. Is like, you just got to have one person mess up and the run will be successful. And the running backs that you're looking for in that system are running backs with vision, not necessarily physically talented.
That's another Shanahan thing. Yeah. He wants them to do exactly the Kyle thing. He doesn't care as much about the physical capabilities and he cares more about them like playing the way he wants them to play. That was like
such an ego monster.
Eli Mitchell, Trey Sermon thing. We just like cut Trey Sermon immediately.
It's very different on the defensive side of the ball for the 49ers, which, as I've pointed out a number of times, has been the really strong unit for them during Kyle's run. They are like, no, we're going to get monsters up front.
Yes.
And then we're going to get monsters to back them up. And then we're just going to run basic stuff and you can't block us, which is pretty effective.
I would say so.
I had a great transition set up, but I forgot what it was. So I'll just the great transition was, speaking of people who are not completely comfortable in the zone blocking system, Aaron Rodgers got up out of that Matt LaFleur, which is one of the many Shanahan disciples. Man, they got to put Mike in the Hall of Fame now. I think they were holding off because he hadn't fully retired.
It's so weird.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. He's like arguably the most impactful offensive coach since Bill Walsh. And he's of the Bill Walsh tree also. So I guess Bill Walsh gets credit for it also. But like his name is invoked on a weekly basis. It's become a part of football lexicon. If you say Shanahan offense, everybody knows what you're talking about.
And he already matches the bronze bust. It's perfect. Better than anyone ever.
Yeah, he does. That man used to love the tan. Colorado. He had tanning beds at
altitude.
Tanning beds at altitude and die. It's white now though. He's given up on the hair. He's let the hair go white. The skin, he'll never let that go white. I like him a lot better now that I don't have to play for him. Anyway, Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
I have been watching Hard Knocks. I normally fall off on Hard Knocks at some point after episode 2 or 3, but I am enjoying this year's Hard Knocks. And I mentioned a number of times that I'm a sucker for well-produced content, and they've made everyone likable. There have been a couple of odd things about it to me, though. And maybe this is editing, But the way they talk about Aaron Rodgers is something I've never seen before. The way that his teammates and the coaches talk about him. Because football is not like basketball, and that basketball, there is a clear hierarchy. I mean, there is a hierarchy in football also, but not to this degree where it's like they talk about him like he's a god. And it's weird. I think Randall Cobb was the last clip that I remember seeing where he was explaining to the receivers. And normally you're like, man, this is the way coach wants to see things done. We got to do this because this is the right way. Everything that he's saying to them is like, nah, Aaron likes it like this, do it like that. And then everyone talks about Aaron and no one talks directly to him, but they talk about him and trying to make him happy. I assume that's what it was like down in Tampa when Tom Brady showed up. And I think my voice might make it sound like I'm being critical of it. I'm not being critical of it. I just find it odd. Like, I've played on teams with future Hall of Famers and they went out of their way to and Aaron does the same thing, it seems like, to make himself feel like he's a part of the crew. But we still kind of always felt like we were part of the crew. We never we're like, hey, this is the way that Ed likes it. This is the way that Ray likes it. So this is what we're going to do. You know, like, that wasn't a thing. Champ likes you to be here. So we're going to
want you to be there.
Like, no, it's like, this is what the defensive coordinator said to do. This is what the coaching staff said to do. It's just an unusual thing to feel like. And even in this episode, they had Woody Johnson, the owner of the team, show up and give a speech to the guys he had on the chain, which, can we stop doing that? Can we stop doing the, like, I accepted that it was funny the first time old white man wore hip hop influence garb. Yeah, it was cute a long time ago. I no longer find it funny. So Woody Johnson showed up in a chain that said Woody that look a lot like Sauce Gardner's chain, but it said Woody. Also, it probably was real, and he probably threw it in the trash because he's got real money like that. But it's not funny anymore, guys. Yeah. It's a tired bit.
So my thing with the Rodgers thing, it's unique now because guys can play that long.
Yeah.
And there's a Larry Bird anecdote about legendarily good teammate, intense guy, but I can't remember who the teammate was. Someone got drafted towards the end of Larry Bird's career, which is, he retired when he was 35, which now wouldn't be that old. He's younger than Steph Curry, but at the time it was like, wow, this guy's played forever. Plus he did the year at Indiana where he left, then he was garbage man, and then he went to Indiana State, got the national championship. And a young player came in and asked Larry Bird for his phone number, and Larry Bird's like, nah, fuck off. You're going to get drunk and you and your college buddies are going to call me in the middle of the night because I was that guy to you when you were 10 years old. And I feel like that is the way it is with Aaron Rodgers now, because he's 39, 40.
Yeah.
Those guys have been watching him since they were 8.
He's definitely got 2 phones. And one that he is for people that he actually wants to talk to, and one is for teammates / fans, because they're the same thing. It feels like. Yeah. Randall Cobb does seem like a true, genuine friend that they are. They said that he's one of Cobb's kids' godfather, which, like, sucks to be the other kid.
Do you know how old Randall Cobb is?
What are you trying to get me here? Is he older or younger than I think? I think he's younger than I think. So I'll say he's 34.
33.
Whew, that is a lot younger than I thought.
He could be 40 for all I guess.
He's played for 10 years now, right?
Yeah.
Damn, that's impressive. Long run. But yeah, he certainly, he makes no bones about it in Hard Knocks that, like, I'm here because Aaron's here.
Yeah.
And I'm here to help communicate with the young guys who don't understand him in his football language. But Aaron Rodgers also probably, I would assume, and maybe this is just me because I'm awkward introvert guy, I have a hard time talking to people who are my peers.
Yeah.
I can't imagine trying to strike up a conversation with 23-year-olds every day and, like, find something
Does it matter? Do you have to then in a football locker room, or can it not be like a work relationship for him?
No, I think it can be, but I think it's better. I sincerely believe this now. I don't know if I would have believed it when I was young, but I do think that those connections matter. Okay. I don't know exactly how to measure it, but it does matter. I think maybe it's just because you want to be around your guys, or you don't want to or even more bought in, you don't want to let them down. But I do think that it's important, particularly at that position. Yeah. And I think maybe that's it. That's the way that I'll justify it, is it's a management position as much as it's like a labor position, the quarterback. And you know how much you hate when your boss is an asshole. It's nice to have a boss who's not an asshole.
My boss, if you're listening, you've never been an asshole.
Well, anyway, I am not your boss, but you trying to surreptitiously turn off your phone while we're still recording because I heard it beep would make your boss mad.
Oh, yeah.
And you showing up to work with bullet holes in your shirt. What happened?
Oh, I have I rescued this stray puppy.
Oh, gosh. Now you're going to make up a lie so that I feel guilty for calling you out.
He's doing the nipping phase. Where he just like hangs on anything that's fabric.
I rescued a stray puppy. That's why I have a hole in my shirt.
His name's Fred. Fred the dog.
Whatever. Don't come to work looking like that. Like you don't care about us. Like this is not important to you.
I did see you walk up in your short sleeve button down and nice pants, and I was like, fuck. Really botched it today.
What? So is that like, okay, this is a whole nother conversation. The hat now.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the hat. I love the hat. You're comfortable with it. This is a genuine question that's not meant as a slight at you, whereas the bullet hole in your shirt was meant as a slight at you. I can't come to work with your nipple peeking out of a hole.
I'm like, really sorry that I rescued they're just stray dogs that need homes.
All right. The salt lines, is that like a white dude style thing? I see that on white dudes.
No,
hats. Why don't you guys just wash your hats?
I played tennis in the hat. I gotta wash it. It just hasn't happened yet.
No respect for this team that we're on here. Just come in here with nipple
You
holes.
wanted me to be comfortable.
Now I'm making you as uncomfortable as possible.
No, this is great.
No.
We've talked about this. You can't make me uncomfortable at any point anymore.
I've already got you to the most uncomfortable point ever.
Like the first year and a half of Dominique's and I's relationship, I didn't know him that well, and he would sit at a desk next to me and just try and make me feel as uncomfortable as possible.
Well, you went to the club last night?
Oh no, I went to see the Ringer Fantasy Football Show podcast.
We don't promote other people's podcasts on here.
Gotta grind tape.
Whatever. We're better than them. Except for Danny Heifetz. I like him. He's nice. The rest of those goons.
I like all of them. They're great.
Whatever. What was I wanted to talk about? Something else. Oh, holdouts. I want to talk about holdouts. I'm
about to hold out.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah, we certainly don't pay you enough. So wear whatever you want, buddy. Wear whatever you want. Come in with stamps on your hands and sweat on your hat.
You even notice I have a ketchup stain on my shoe. I was doing a walk and he dropped right on my white shoe.
You don't have children, but at some point you're gonna have to get it together. If you can't be the one with ketchup on your shoes and holes in your shirt, you got to set some sort of example for them to how to take care of yourself and show that you care about yourself. So we got a couple topics left that I wanted to hit. Maybe we have time for
the next taping
or not. So I know which one I want to talk about. I want to talk about Caleb Williams.
Yes.
So Caleb Williams, DC native, went to Gonzaga right here in the city, a few blocks away from where we are right now. He's by far the best quarterback prospect in college and probably since Trevor Lawrence, maybe.
People are saying ahead of Lawrence since Luck at that level.
He's like that level of player. We've seen him play. He looks great. He's talented. He does the Patrick Mahomes things, but he's bigger. And
seems faster too.
And more athletic.
Yeah.
So that's what is at the table. We talked about this last week about building teams that you should not really try to angle for the right quarterback. You should build a roster. Well, if this is the quarterback, then maybe it might be worth considering throwing a game or two because he's that good. He's starting to, I guess, send up smoke signals.
Yes.
That this is something that if anybody who's followed me for a while knows that I feel very passionately about players' rights. And one right in particular is the right to choose where you work. And he's sending up signals that he may not come out next year and enter the draft if he doesn't like the team that has the number one pick.
Right.
I love it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
This has also been like, if you follow the Caleb Williams arc, it has been trending like this, I think, since he made his college decision. Right. A lot of people thought he might go to Maryland.
Yep, go Terps.
But his dad and him said that he was going to the place to give him the best chance of being a star professional quarterback. So he followed Lincoln Riley to Oklahoma and then followed Lincoln Riley to USC, despite the fact that he had that dominant freshman season at Oklahoma. So this has been like a long-term plan to maximize his NFL career. And he is someone who's been thinking about this since he was 17, where I think a lot of number one overall picks are like, I just want to play football because they're so great at it that the situation like doesn't seem to matter as much, or it's not as much of a slam dunk. I think he's expected to be the 2024 number 1 overall pick and sort of choose his destination since he was maybe a sophomore in high school.
Right.
And his dad's talked about it.
I'll say, first of all, it would have been nice to have him at Maryland. He could have played tight end for my guy, Talia Tagovailoa, who is a real deal quarterback. Locke's coaching him up well. He puts up big numbers, and I think he's making some big money.
Do you know what he was not doing over the offseason? He was not in the gym.
Here we go with this stuff.
You know what he was not. You know what he was not doing? Eating what his nutritionist wanted him to eat.
All right. Well, this is a reference that I'm sure lots of people will get, but we will not delve down into that one. What was I going to say? Oh, Talia. No, Caleb. Okay, so the idea that Caleb Williams can use this power, like we had Eli Manning do it. John Elway did it. Elway had the threat of baseball. And the thing about Caleb is the threat isn't that scary. But I find this interesting in part because it connects some to the conversation that we were having about Aaron Rodgers. It's such a non-football thing to do. Whereas I talked about before that players are normally not in they normally feel more like just like bottom labor. We follow what we're told to do. Like it's just we're all in this together. It's a noble thing or at least it's presented as a noble thing to do. And so quarterbacks are not likely to be like, or players in general, not likely to force their way to a destination the way that we see basketball players do it. I'm happy to see it change. Yeah. I would like for it to change. And I think they're good and bad with everything. And as we like professionalize youth sports more and more, it's hard for them not to grow up with a different orthodoxy than what we grew up with. Like we grew up with a like team first orthodoxy. As we get closer to like AAUizing youth athletics, if he's been thinking about being the number 1 pick since he was 14 or younger than that, then how else is he supposed to look at this?
Well, I think there's an interesting split here because I think of it more as like good organization, bad organization compared to like big market, small market. Yeah. Because I think it would suck if it's like a team that is building in the right direction, but you're like, I want to maximize my earning potential by being a major. So like that's sort of lame. But like, look at the example for good organization, bad organization is we all thought Trevor Lawrence was awesome. Mm-hmm. You put him with Urban Meyer, who's kicking kickers and putting his hands in places we don't understand. And he sucked. And then you put him with Doug Peterson and he's awesome. Right. And having the talent at the quarterback position is precious. We talk about all we've talked about this episode is quarterbacks at different tiers. And the fact of the matter is there's right now 6, 7, or 8 guys that we really trust to win football games. Yeah. And Caleb Williams is someone who could be at the top of that list very soon. And to put him on an organization that's going to waste that because it's football, that is a shame.
I'm rusty because I framed this in the wrong way. Even I have like succumbed to the framing this as like being more of a selfish decision and a professional decision and less of like a decision where it comes to fairness. And I think part of it is the reason why it's frustrating to me is because we know that is probably the most important position in football and the most dependent position in football. You're dependent on coaches, quarterback, or coaches, receivers, running backs, offensive line, and we'll think of you one way or the other and talk about you one way or the other depending on all these other variables. And can you imagine having a very valuable skill that you honed and worked on and cultivated to the point that you're the number 1 pick in the draft, and then you have to entrust it to someone else and you have no choice, and they're just like, yeah, you know what? Houston Texans. Go there, figure it out.
How happy was he when they made that trade for Will Anderson?
Thrilled. I think he definitely did a dance of joy when, the Texans traded their pick for this coming draft to get Will Anderson this year, which shows that they are committed to C.J. Stroud, which I'm not sure that C.J. Stroud should be all.
I'm not sure CJ Stroud has that much faith in CJ Stroud.
It's a tough spot situation. To be in. Well, I was trying to figure out a way to pivot it to make fun of your favorite franchise, the Washington Commanders, because they've ruined some quarterbacks.
Oh yeah,
and sent away some good ones. Kirk Cousins. So, but you guys got a new owner now, so you're good to go.
I love that guy.
He's out here getting drunk and shaking hands.
He had the best Commanders football team Washington highlight in a decade since RG3 in 2012.
I watched that game last night and I loved the first half of the game. I watched the first half of the game. I rewatched it last night. And I don't want to talk about the bad handshake where he was confused by Joe Buck just gesticulating. He thought it was a DAP offering. But that aside, I love the game because Sam Howell looked really good, which is a player that I've kind of been positive about and think he's going to be in a good situation. And also because Eric Bieniemy, I want Eric Bieniemy to succeed. Eric Bieniemy is one of, I think, just 3 black play callers or offensive play callers in the NFL right now. And that's normally the pipeline to becoming a head coach. So I'd like him to succeed because it's felt to everybody like for whatever reason, it's been unfair to him.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching that. I also thoroughly enjoyed watching the first drive where Zay Flowers for the Ravens was special. He was so special. I mean, it wasn't like great plays, but it was a level of quickness where the first pass he caught was just like a stop route.
Yeah.
And the cornerback didn't even really backpedal. He just kind of played there and was standing right next to Zay Flowers, and he was able to elude him and get around. And so when I was done, I paused the game so I could go look up Zay Flowers' high school highlights because I was like, you know what? If he's doing this in the league, I bet his high school highlights are incredible. They were pretty good.
Just pretty good?
I mean, they were... His competition, he was so much better than his competition in some places that he was not required to do special things.
Did he play receiver? Or did
he played receiver. He played receiver and corner, it seemed like. So it was like some interceptions here and some...
Screen passes and 9 routes.
Yeah, screen passes and 9 routes. And I was expecting to see Tavon Austin level jukes, but he would make one cut and then leave him. And I was like, oh, that was impressive, but uneventful.
It's like, I feel like, the Tavon Austin, his college tape is unbelievable.
Yeah, Tavon Austin, Dunbar, Baltimore. They put a lot of players in a lot of different leagues. That's got to be up there. Is there a documentary on Dunbar or something?
I mean, I think there's the Durant did the documentary of like in the water from like basically DC to Baltimore, the PG and Howard County documentary.
A lot of good basketball.
A lot of good everything.
Peter Warwick, best college highlight tape.
Reggie
Bush.
Should we rank them? Do you want to draft? We can each draft 5.
All right, I'm fine with it. Except it's going to be our slight age difference is going to show.
That's right. And you can draft high school tapes too, but you can have Peter Warwick. I'll take Reggie.
Peter Warwick was so special, man. He was Reggie.
I remember the Free Shoes University era of FSU with Spurrier.
Speaking of Reggie Bush, you heard he's in the news again. He's doing NCAA. I hope he wins. NCAA is a really did they really defame him? Like everyone thinks he won the Heisman. He is still like he's the most iconic college player for someone who's my age. If you think of college football, you think of Reggie Bush. You think of the single sleeve when it got ripped off against Fresno State and switching the ball and cutting all the way across the field. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess he wants to find a way to take them on, and I feel like he deserves it. So it's kind of like, speaking of Heisman Trophy winners who don't, it's kind of like getting OJ on the stealing and not the other stuff. I don't know if they are guilty of defaming him or not, but I'm rooting for him. Yeah. I hope Reggie wins. Give him his trophy back at least.
Oh, my God.
Like the stuff that you accuse him of, like, is not even a problem at this point.
He would have made so much money in college.
Yeah, he was in LA, handsome,
dating a Kardashian.
Dynamic. Like he would have been just on Instagram alone. He would have been raking in millions of dollars.
He was the coolest.
Who else had great college highlight tapes? I would say Lamar Jackson. Go recent. Lamar Jackson's highlight tape was absurd.
I'm gonna counter your Lamar pick. I'm gonna take just one specific game, Mike Vick versus Boston College.
You don't even need the rest of the Mike Vick.
Don't even need the Sugar Bowl against Peter Warwick, where my dad let 9-year-old me stay up late, and he's like, I know you watched the first half for Peter Warwick, but this Virginia Beach, stay. This is the craziest I've ever seen.
I gotta tell you, when Mina and I wrote a piece about Lamar Jackson before the draft, and so I went back and watched a lot of tape on Michael Vick, and Lamar Jackson, I think, was a better college player than Michael Vick, objectively. But what Michael Vick was doing in some ways is so much more impressive because Michael Vick was not the league, the college, like nobody was ready for Michael Vick. He made stuff out of nothing. If you go back, like now you look at quarterbacks in systems that are designed for them. So like they have the zone read, they have option, they got counter, they got all these other, they got power, QB power. They have all these plays that are designed for the quarterback. They took old ass, antiquated
Beamer ball.
1990s style of offensive football. They had him in the I formation, 2 backs under center. They were not spreading anything out and dropping back and running outs and
sometimes
skinnies.
two backs and a fullback because they had Lee Suggs and Kevin Jones.
And he would just be like, all right. It was make something happen. It was the least conducive offense for a player like him to be successful in, but somehow he would still embarrass people routinely.
This is one of my hobbies of researching this is just pre-Achilles. How good was Ronald Curry if he was the much better high school quarterback than Mike Vick?
There was I remember the high school football. It's not Texas or Florida or anything.
Virginia Beach is like,
but yeah, they got players down there. Ronald Curry was such a good athlete that he was a Division I starter on a top level program for 2 different sports.
he won the McDonald's dunk contest.
How is it? So that's kind of crazy that a player like that cannot have a sustained professional career.
He popped his Achilles when he was 19. It changed everything.
And that always brings up Charlie Ward, the 2-sport athlete that made the right call. Good job, Charlie. Because the NFL couldn't handle Charlie Ward. You got more highlight tapes you want to talk about?
Devin Hester.
Devin Hester.
Do you guys just go through my list?
Yeah, go through your list.
Devin Hester, Noel Devine's high school tape, Tavon Austin, Sean Taylor, particularly its hit on PK Sam.
Oh,
do you remember the hit on PK Sam?
Yeah, that was he dove through him. That was
cool. His head landed several seconds before his feet.
Oh God, that's ruthless. I don't like that.
Earl Campbell stiff arm.
Earl Campbell stiff arm.
Percy Harvin, Johnny Manziel.
Percy Harvin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the
also Virginia Beach.
Yeah, the Swamp King documentary is out. Untold, not as good as it used to be. Not that it was ever great, but like this current one is not as much fun. But I guess it's not supposed to be fun, but not as interesting. But yeah, Percy Harvin, absurd athlete all the way. He was the offensive rookie of the year. Like I don't think of him as being as impactful in the NFL.
He almost broke Doug Baldwin's neck. He almost got suspended from the Super Bowl and then won them that game. Took 2 to the barn.
Special football player.
Freak athlete.
All right, what else we got going on? We got holdouts happening.
Yeah.
Chris Jones says he's going to wait till week 8 to come back, which will definitely impact the championship chances for the Chiefs, right?
Well, this is the question. It's because it's 2 sides of the same coin. You've got Chris Jones and Nick Bosa. I think you could make a case that they are the 2 best players at their respective position. That's not Aaron Donald.
Yeah, they're
among the best. You could make the case that outside of Aaron Donald being an alien, Chris Jones and Bosa are best interior and exterior pass rushers in the NFL.
I would disagree, but it's fine. I get your point.
Would you say one is a bigger loss to their team than the other? So both these teams need to win a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah,
every year.
I'd say Chris Jones is a bigger loss to I think Chris Jones is a bigger loss.
Even though you just said that the 49ers are good because of their defense and Patrick Mahomes has succeeded with a mediocre defense.
Yeah, I think so. In part because, and I guess that's a fair point. And I didn't know you were going to ask me this question. I could have looked up the numbers, which would have made this less fun conversation and see who's has better on-off impact. But when I think of their defenses, I'm pretty sure Bosa's been hurt a few times, and that front is like there's a revolving door. So he's obviously the most pivotal person on that unit, but it feels like a group that's been effective before and after him and will continue to be effective. Maybe not as game wrecking. There's one guy on the Chiefs defense, and I guess the point is fair. It's like, but their offense has a chance to be so much more explosive. And as long as you have Patrick Mahomes, you'll be better off. I think the fact of the matter is that defense doesn't have a playmaker on it in the way that Chris Jones is. And they have a lot of young guys who maybe can grow into that. Yeah. That's not the same thing for the 49ers. So I think I'd be more concerned if I were the Chiefs than the 49ers, maybe. Because the 49ers are still going to have a pass rush. Either way, with or without him.
Stacked.
Yeah, but it could change with him. Chris Jones is the one person on defense that I think offensive coordinators are like, all right, what are we going to do about him this week? Whereas there's nobody else like that.
There was a point that 49ers defense was so good. There was a point even in the NFC
Fred Warner.
Yeah, I mean, maybe better than Bosa.
Yeah.
Do you remember that NFC Championship game? Like, what if the 49ers just hold the Eagles to like 14 points? Are they going to have a chance with Josh Johnson and Christian McCaffrey playing quarterback and Brock Purdy throwing underhand left-handed passes?
Yeah, Fred Warner is an amazing football player.
So handsome.
Is he?
Yeah.
I can't. Better than, well, this is nobody beats Jalen.
No.
This is a Jalen-friendly podcast. Don't get me in trouble. I forgot what I was going to say again. I need to go to sleep more or something. I don't know. I feel like I'm forgetting lots of things, or I can't even make my concussion joke anymore because it doesn't make you uncomfortable.
I saw a shirt last night at that Ringer Fantasy Football Show. Someone had the NFL crest, and it said instead of NFL CTE, and I was like, God, I got to buy that for Domonique. He would love that.
Yeah, I mean, trying to get me. It's like the Caucasians. I feel like that's. I think people might be more offended by the CTE shirt because they were really upset about that. In case people don't remember, our good friend Bomani Jones wore a shirt on Mike and Mike that was kind of a criticism of the Cleveland at that time Indians, and he just wore a shirt that said Caucasians, and it had a white man on it with a big toothy grin
and dollar sign in it, right?
Yeah, just like the Cleveland Indians. That was a good time.
It was a funny shirt.
Yeah, it was a good shirt. Funny shirt. I mean, I don't think he got in trouble for it.
He said to zip up his hoodie. Do you remember that? It was like coming back from the break. He had it fully zipped up.
The good old days. Anything else that you want to talk about?
That's it.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.
See you. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, Christina Busso. Thanks, Addie Khan. Thanks, Sarah Abbott and Podville. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.